The Defender Trophy competition is back for the first time since 1998. Land Rover Kansas City is proud to be supporting two entrants in the North American competition happening outside of Vancouver, British Columbia on April 17th and 18th. Thomas Lee and Joshua Nana will both be representing Kansas City, and we'd like to introduce you to Joshua now.
I was born in Kansas City. I've had the opportunity to travel around the world, gone on a lot of adventures, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have 3 kids, and I'm a Land Rover fanatic. One of the things I really love about a Land Rover is the above and beyond, and I think that if you look at Land Rover, these cars are so capable of what they're doing. And I think my ethos as a person is that I try never to live with regrets. Like, my greatest fear is that I'm on my deathbed and I have a regret that I didn't go for something or try it or, put all my all into everything. And I think those two kind of correlate a little bit about above and beyond, and then always kind of pushing the envelope of where you find yourself becoming uncomfortable. And I think, a lot of times that makes the best stories, right? You're on a trail and you're going and the river's a little high and you got to cross it and this, that, and the other. And it's a little bit uncomfortable. And in those moments of uncomfortableness, I think that's where we grow. When I was 9 years old, I was riding my bike down the street, and my neighbor that was older, he was 17, had an FJ40 Land Cruiser. And I thought, wow, that is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And I knew at that moment that I wanted an FJ40. And when I was 16, I got an old FJ40 that I started to work on and rebuild. And a few of my buddies and I, we would go find trails and go off-roading and mudding and try to cross creeks. And then we've had water running through the floor pan of that. And it was funny, about when I was 17, we just got done off-roading. The car was covered in mud, and I saw a Land Rover NAS Defender 90, and I just fell in love with that thing. And I was like, I want a Defender at some point in my life. And I was off-roading in Guatemala with a couple friends, and we were on the side of a volcano that was also a rainforest. And when they cut roads into volcanoes, it's loose soil. So I wouldn't even say it's a road, it was more like a trail that had been cut out of the side of a very steep incline. And we had gone for about half a day down this trail. And on the way back, a branch had fallen and kind of blocked part of the road. And I took the outside to get around the branch, and the road gave way. And so I was in a Series 3, and I just remembered everything sliding down, and there were treetops that were 100 feet. So it was like a cliff almost going down. And the top inside tires of my Series 3 caught the edge. And I was sitting there hanging on to a cliff in this Series 3. And I was almost frozen, because I was like, man, if I move, this thing's gonna go over. And if I don't move, it could give way. Finally, after about 30 seconds, I made the decision, I gotta get out of this car, because it could just at any time go. And I climbed out of the passenger side and climbed out the door, and we immediately started leaning on the car to keep it from going. Luckily, we had a rope, tied it off, and then we had to get 2 more Land Rovers, another 110 and a 130, to pinch it in from both sides with winches. And then we had a hand winch that we put uphill, and we winched the car back up over the hill. And when it was done, I kind of sat there for a good 5 minutes and said, guys, I need 5 minutes just to sit here and take this all in. It was definitely a close to near-death experience, but the Land Rover fired right back up, and after 5 minutes, we were all laughing about it and got some great pictures, and then went on our way. It's kind of funny, I was helping an old farmer out that was about 2 miles north, and it was a great story. He asked for some help, and so, we went up there, as my friend and I went up there just to help him, and he needed help getting cattle in and out of a pasture. And as we were doing this, I passed by his barn, and tucked away in the back of the barn was this 1969 Land Rover Series 2 or Series 3, I can't remember. And this is in northern Missouri, and this guy's got a Land Rover, and you could tell this Land Rover had been through it. It had pulled trailers, it had been used to feed hay to cattle and stuff. And this old guy and I sat down and we started talking about Land Rovers, and He bought this Land Rover, I think in 1969 in Seattle, Washington. He'd been the only owner of this thing ever since. And his passion for Land Rovers burned the same way that I did. He's like, this truck has been better to me than any other truck I've ever had. He was like, she never gets stuck. I can load bales of hay in the back. I mean, it didn't have a roof on it. It had like a cattle guard up front. He was like, I've run cattle with this thing for 30 years. So I'm like, you ever want to get rid of it? He was like, oh no. He's like, I love this thing more than anything. And he was like, they're easy to work on. It had dents, it had patina for days. And, you know, I think that he appreciated that Land Rover also. That, again, it goes back to this relationship that like he had built a relationship with that machine. And you could tell it had gotten him out of tough places. And when it 3 feet of snow, it plowed right through. And to me, that's like using the machine the way it's supposed to. I mean, like, how could you not apply for this thing? You know, ever since as a kid, I was watching the Camel Trophy during the 80s. And, you know, they stopped doing that 28 years ago. And so when I saw that they were doing the Defender Trophy, I was like, oh my God, yes, like this is where I need to be. And it's been a fun journey even up to this point. And, you know, this competition is 3 weeks away in British Columbia. And just to prepare for it and go through all of the knowledge-based stuff. And then I was driving last week and, you know, really pushing it off-road to kind of like hone in all the skills. To me, it's like, if I had a childhood fantasy, it would be to do the Camel Trophy. And this is it. Like, so I'm living kind of like a bucket list for me to do it. And Land Rover Kansas City has like, you know, been great and been integral and kind of like helping me get to this point. And I'm just like so stoked and full of gratitude for the opportunity to go compete. I got an email like at 8 in the morning and I was sitting in bed and I just like was just staring blankly at it. I was like, I cannot believe this. This is like unbelievable, you know, and just, I was in shock that, you know, out of, I don't know how many people they pick, 100 people for the United States, that I was one of the 100 people to be able to have the opportunity to compete. I was walking like on air the whole day, on clouds. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And just to, again, just so much gratitude for the opportunity just to compete. I've never off-roaded in British Columbia before, so that'll be a new experience. I studied the terrain and the topography, and then I started studying the weather of what it's going to be like in mid to late April. And then the pilot in me starts looking at the magnetic deflection that happens at certain parts of the Earth. So, you know, British Columbia, it deflects by 13 degrees. So when you're using a compass, how to adjust for that, you know, when you're orienteering and things like that. So I think it's going to be wet. I think it's going to be a little cold. But you know what? It can't be worse than Kansas City in the winter. So I think we're good. We're going to be fine. I look at these things as an opportunity to improve myself. So one thing I really hate doing is cardio, but a lot of this is going to be cardio based. So I've been doing a lot more running than I would like. You know, a lot of studying different types of knots. I have a high lift jack, was playing around with it about winching, hand winching on that. I actually went back and reread the whole, you know, the Defender 110 manual from cover to cover to start, you know, memorizing all the weights and balances and departure angles and things like that, which I think will be necessary in all this. And then again, I'm a pilot, so we have to learn how to do compass readings and everything like that. But I went out and started redoing some of that just because I think part of it's going to involve compasses. And other than that, I'm just, you know, looking forward to it, having a great time and just going with a positive attitude. And again, just like going to do this and be around other people that are like-minded doing it, it's just like awesome. I think my kids think I'm a little crazy, but on some secret level, they love it. Like they know that I love Land Rover so much, and you know, they love getting in the back jump seats that face each other, and they've been around Land Rovers their whole life. Like the LR3 that I have, every single one of my kids literally came home from the hospital in that car. And then when they turn 15 or 16, I make them drive that car because it's a tank, it's a beast. And so I've indoctrinated my kids in Land Rover like pretty well. My son has a picture of a Defender 90 painting up on the wall, and they've been around it and they've been on these off-road adventures, and I've gotten my son into off-roading now. So I think that they totally understand me going to do this. And then, you know, I plan on, you know, getting to the finals of this, which would be in Africa for 3 weeks. I think that's going to be a little bit harder sell for them, that I'd be gone for 3 weeks, but I think that they also understand that who I am as a person and that I've got to live my passion. And my hope for them is that by me setting an example of living my passion, that they in turn will live whatever passion is that they have in their life. In a bucket list of things, driving a Defender across Africa for 3 weeks, it's a combination of a lot of different things, like to be in nature, to be remote, to be self-sufficient, to be in an amazing, machine. I think that's like something that I'd look back at the end of my life and be like, I got to compete in this like unbelievable adventure across Africa and saw some amazing stuff, met some amazing people. And I just don't think it could be better than that. One of the hopes I have is that, when people see this competition, they understand, how capable these machines are, whether it be a Land Rover Defender or a Range Rover, whatever it is. And, my hope on that would be that, people understand and use this vehicle or machine to broaden their horizons of what they see in the world and like where they go. And it might be a road trip to Yellowstone, or it might be, driving through the South, and taking dirt trails sometimes. I think that my hope is that the Defender Trophy inspires the next generation of people to get out and explore more. And also the current generation, right? Like, I'm 46, and there's guys that are 40, 50, 30, 60, whatever. And that you have this machine and like use it and like go out there and see the world. Because I think that, being at the edge of the world and exploring is where you really find yourself and you really understand who you are as a person. And it broadens your horizons. And one of my deep hopes is that like this, for the first time in 28 years, the Defender Trophy shows people that like, take this car and go do awesome stuff with it. And it'll actually make you a better person in the process.